Hi, my name is Avishai Golan. I'm an independent director. The part of the film, the trailer that you have seen now, it's about the connection between the fire that was on Mountain Carmel and the connection to the Haifa harbor area. Haifa is a big city in Israel which have a natural harbor and got heavy industry. My goal in the film was to show the connection between ecology and a natural and healthier way of living. What I'm showing in the film is that the firemen that were supposed to pull down the fire couldn't do it. It took them 77 hours, one of the firemen says, and until the fire reached a natural road, and that's the only way that the fire had stopped. During the fire is that 44 firemen and policemen and security guards were killed. If a fire in a forest kills 44 people, what will happen if the fire will burst in the middle of a heavy industry area? The movie that I'm showing is not a prophecy of a nearby catastrophic accident, but what I'm showing is the possibility that a catastrophic accident with many injuries and many dead, God forbid, could happen. This prophecy element is a part of a director's mind or influence. Prophecy element is not something that is rational and clear, but like a prophecy spirit was upon them, that they could point out something that will majorly change human history. Charlie Chaplin in the 40s, when he releases The Great Dictator, is prophesizing about Hitler horrors, and Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey is actually showing the space race that will start in that year that he released the movie. So there is a prophecy element in those great directors' work. When I'm thinking of those great directors, maybe it's a part of their brain structure, because you have to be with a special mind, I think. The two halves of the brains should be very well developed. Why? Because one half is the spontaneous mind that show the vision in a very spiritual way, but the other side of the mind should be very logic in how to make the other side of the brain work. So you have this vision, but you have to know the technical knowledge how to show this space flight that Kubrick is showing in 2001. So if you developing these two parts of the personality and the brain very accurate and parallel, maybe you can reach certain understandings that could be brought into main cinema and to be shown to the masses as a message. I don't think that the people that possesses the big factories are willingly want to pollute and poison people, but by a side effect of the heavy industry, they are doing so. So my aim is in a presentation that I put on YouTube 3 years ago, is actually to take all the factories and put them in southern Israel, which is a desert area. And if the factory is gonna be there and nobody gonna be polluted after finishing work, the situation now in Haifa Harbor is when you finish your work, you drive 2 kilometers to let's say Kiryat Yam, and you are still polluted by the heavy industry, although you are 2 or 3 kilometers far away from the factories. If they're gonna be in the desert, they are gonna be far away from the people that worked in the morning, and after they finish work, you drive maybe 20 minutes, maybe you drive 30 minutes, you're getting away from the factories, and then you can live at the afternoons in the clean desert air. And the factories in the middle of the desert are not a risk. The factories in the middle of a suburb area are, like I say in my movie, are a risk to assumptions say that 400,000 people could be infected if a catastrophic accident will happen. This connection between ecology thinking and cinema is part of my nature because I love nature and I love cinema. I'm a little bit of surfing and martial arts, and that had opened a great love to nature and the feeling of the essence of nature. Longboarding sport is built on a Haifa city because it's all mountains and hills. So it's a kind of sport that you can develop along with wave surfing, which is very developed in Haifa. But the paradox is that you have the heavy industry and the sea is polluted. So you have to go to a certain sea part in Haifa, which is more sun and beach. Water are assumingly cleaner. This paradox is unthinkable, and you can make Haifa a city for extreme sport and water sport, and it's a college city because you have the Haifa University and the Technion, which is one of the finest institute in the world, with Nobel Prize winners. So it could be like Columbia City or Oxford City in England, which are cities that are especially for students. Haifa could not offer young people what Tel Aviv had to offer. Haifa is more a quiet city than Tel Aviv, which is more suitable for student life. My other projects are a movie about the Second Lebanon War in 2006, a movie about the Aliyah to Israel. Israel is an immigrant state, and many countries came to Israel, and one of my movies is about the Aliyah from Yemen. One of the hardest Aliyah, because Yemen is a very Islamic state. It was not a simple Aliyah from Yemen. It took many difficulties, and I have a documentary about that. During 2006, Israel was bombarded, and there was a fear that missiles will hit this heavy industry area. It's the same threat in a Gog and the Magoggery war, my 2006 movie about the Second Lebanon War, and the film about Fukushima. And it's the same risk because the factories could be inflicted by either bombs or either fire, and the disastrous coincidence could be terrible. In Fukushima 2, question mark, there's a showing of the ecological influence of mankind in such a heavy populated area, but it's a global thinking is also the same. Why? Because in this movie Collapse, expert talking about the fuel is the oil is gonna disappear eventually, is gonna be finished. So cars will also won't have tires because it's also a byproduct from oil. To let the land cure, you can build a field of mirrors for reflecting sunlight and solar energy. And by the meantime, all the disastrous land of the harbor area will be healed over the years, and then you can even build a marine and yacht. In France, for example, you have a special harbor that uses the tide and lows, and using this moon energy is making millions of kilowatt of energy, which is basically free. So if people in France have been understanding this, why not in Israel and worldwide? Use them in a way to save humanity's money on expensive energy like oil, which is also a polluted plastic and unrecyclable element. So actually I'm making documentary films, and I'm doing it in self-production completely. My movie about the Second Lebanon War is on YouTube, and you can see it freely over there. My next project is, I mentioned the longboard sport, extreme sport longboarding, which I talked about before, and the movie after the movie I'm working about on now with two dear friends. The next movie is gonna be about a longboarding sport. Basically, the major line of the movie, Israel against Arab states. It's a miracle how Israel lasts, and in the movie it is said that it's, of course, it's a fictional. It's about how Israel is not being destroyed but by so many Arab states. It's by a bribe, and the bribe money is being delivered to Lebanon in the middle of winter, in a very cold winter day every year, in the first of every year. A suitcase with $100 million in diamonds is just being placed in Mount Hermon, and from Arab states, and they take in this suitcase. It's been the delivery is very confidential, and this is how Israel is actually surviving. A group of two groups of longboarding, which basically racing one against the other, get the information about this suitcase that is being delivered to Arab state, and they are planning to steal it. How? The two groups are united, like in Point Break with late Patrick Swayze, the great actor. So the movie is influenced by a Breakpoint and influenced by Mad Max, in combination of the two movies, surfers, longboarding surfers, and psychopaths surfers like in Mad Max, and they wanna do the Hermon Heights downhill. They making the Mossad agent tires flat, and by downhill racing they're gonna clear with the money. This is the main idea of the movie, but the catch is that one of the Mossad agent is also in his free time a longboarder, but he uses a special longboard which is an electronic longboard, and whenever all the Mossad agents are standing like this when they disappear with the money, he's the only one that pulling the electric longboard from his trunk of his car, and starts to race those 9 longboarding criminals, fifth psychopath. So I hope you'll be in touch. I hope you see all my movies. I hope you understand my maybe complicated agenda, which is environmental and movie and cinematic and ecologic, and longboarding, sport, surfing, music, whatever you want. It's all connected, all together like a flower with many leaves. And let's finish with the music. Just enjoy and feel it.